Every week we do a Q&A with interesting and accomplished members of the adaptive community to find how they persevered, how they innovated, how they built communities, and how they found solutions. Welcome to the Nametags Chat podcast. All right, welcome to Chris Waddell's Nametags Chat podcast. Today, we are actually coming off of the track and field trials, the swimming trials, the bicycling trials, and we have a new member of the 2021 Paralympic team. I'm going to try this, okay? I hope I don't insult Beatriz Hatz. We'll call her B because she said that that is totally cool. She is, let's see, 100 meter, 200 meter, and long jump. She qualified at the trials in all three, is number one in the US in the long jump, number three in the world, number two in the US in the 100 meters, and number three in the world, number one in the US in the 200 meters, and number three in the world. Was also the 2018 High School Female Athlete of the Year. She is somebody who is coming on just gangbusters. So B, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the Nametags Chat podcast.
Hey, thanks for inviting me.
Yes. Now, we were in Minneapolis. What was that like? What was that process like for you? Because you guys started with the long jump, and it looked like there were a lot of nerves going on in the long jump. Was that the case?
Kinda. So I had been consistently jumping well over my A standard all the way up until trials. And it wasn't more so that I was nervous, it was just like a little bit of disappointment in the venue. And the long jump pit was definitely not the best, but at the same time, I have to be grateful for the fact that, uh, the trials were being live streamed on national TV. So like you gotta give some to get some kind of thing.
Yeah, and I'm certainly not talking about you as far as the nervousness, but it looked like the whole field had a bit of nervousness in the long jump because things can go wrong in the long jump, right? I mean, like you run your race and you're going to be within, some sort of, confidence interval of where you usually are, right? But the long jump, you can foul, you can, whatever. So it looked like there were some nerves, and maybe not necessarily from you, but from some of your competitors as well. But it looked like it's a hard event to start with.
Yeah, I mean, kinda. I like starting with it just so that I could get it out of the way and be like, yeah, my jumps went great, type of feel good type of situation. Cause long jump is like, I think to me right now, currently it's my favorite event because I'm doing so well. But it does get frustrating when you scratch or like when you foul. It can get frustrating, but I had to learn how to kind of brush that off, especially during competition. And I did foul my first jump. So I had to kind of cool down and figure out what I needed to do.
What makes a good pit? You were saying that it wasn't a great long jump pit. What makes a good long jump pit to the uneducated?
So, first of all, unlike the one in Minneapolis, we would like a runway that is long enough for us to get to full speed. For the men, the runway was actually too short for them, so they could not run full speed into their approach. And for those of you guys that don't know, uh, running fast, like your speed is key to your jump the majority of the time. Just basically basic physics,
Right.
um, speed will carry you. And so it was tougher for the men than the women, but um you need a long jump runway that's good. And then the pit, you would need some sand that doesn't hurt, and you need it deep enough to the point where it's like you land and it's a cushion land, like it's nice and soft, kind of like the one that they had in Eugene.
It looked like the 100 and 200 went great, and it was the 100 where you and Famita actually had a big battle, right?
Oh yeah, that was a real good race. I got out, but she's so extremely strong. I have such a respect for her as my competitor and fellow teammate. She's pretty cool. We hadn't started talking until recently. I think we developed that mutual friendship type thing.
Yeah, well, that was an awesome race to see, and it was, I mean, it was down to hundreds, really, right? But you both went so fast too.
Yeah, she ran 1284 and I ran 1286. So
Can't really
close, but
get too
so far.
much closer. What's that?
I said so close, but so far.
So exactly. Well, that's true, but you also did the necessary step. You took the necessary step, which is to make the games, and then who knows what'll happen in Tokyo. You have a couple of months to prepare. How did you get into track? I mean, really track and field, right? Because you're a jumper. How did this work?
Well, that's actually kind of funny. It was a joke. I started track as a joke.
Okay.
I had done tons of sports growing up because I'm very competitive. Anytime my brother did basketball, I did basketball. If he did baseball, I tried softball. So I was competitive with not only my brothers, but my friends. And I had a little friend group, and they were like, "Oh, you beat me in softball and basketball and snowboarding. I know what I'm going to beat you at track." And I was like, okay, freshman year, me was just kind of like, whatever, I'll try this to stay in shape for softball. Because at the time, I really thought I was going to go to, college for softball. No way. I sucked. I was not going to go. But, I had big hopes. And so we made a bet. And I said, okay, let's see. First person to make varsity is going to win this bet. And we'll see how this goes. Not varsity the whole season, but at least just one meet. And I made it.
Hold on. What did you bet?
We just the title of the better athlete, basically. Kind of
Just
bragging.
bragging rights. Okay.
Yeah. And I had actually ran my first year in my walking prosthetic because my parents were like, we're not going to buy you a $10,000 leg just for you to, have it as a hobby and then quit. So try it, see if you like it. If you get good at it, then maybe we'll invest in a better prosthetic for you.
What is the difference between your prosthetics, like your walking prosthetic versus your running prosthetic?
Oh, it's a big difference. I mean, my walking prosthetic is heavier, first of all, and then the walking prosthetic has a full foot. But when you're sprinting on your toes. You're running on your toes almost, or the ball of your foot
Mhm.
or feet, because you guys all have 2 feet and I don't. But um, so the blade is set up almost just so like you're hitting on your toes, you're running on your toes, and it's supposed to compress. So when you hit the ground, the blade will compress and give you some energy release like back to you because I don't have an ankle. So I'm not able to push off of my foot. And so therefore that's just where it comes. It's just like an exchange.
So you have that carbon fiber leaf spring, and then you have one shoe with spikes on it, and then you have spikes on the bottom of your leaf spring as well as of your blade, right? And is
Yeah.
it just on the front of your toes, kind of, or what would be your toes?
I put spikes on like the whole spike plate on the back of it too. It doesn't go like all the way up, but it does like go pretty far. And so I put in all the spikes available just because when you long jump, it kind of the blade hits and it rolls over and you don't want to slip.
Now that I've always found to be an interesting thing. So when you long jump, do you long jump off of your prosthetic leg, or do you long jump off of your able leg?
So I used to jump off of my able leg back in high school up until I made my first junior champs team to go to Switzerland. And while I was there, the director at the time told me, "Hey, you need to jump off your prosthetic. What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I had to switch, and ever since then, I've jumped off my prosthetic. So I know how to jump off both, but now I don't really feel comfortable jumping off my sound side.
That is interesting. So why do you jump off of, or why does everybody jump off of their prosthetic leg?
Just to kind of make it an even playing field, because you also don't want to overuse your sound side, because we are asymmetrical, so there is a lot of compensation going on within our body. And so my left leg is my sound side. So it goes through a lot more than I put my right leg through. So it's a lot stronger. And if I just, use it to jump, it'll get tired a lot faster because I'm overusing it. So we use the blade to do that. And also, it's also a little easier if everybody's just doing the same thing.
Interesting. Okay. So when you were in high school, so you started running track when you were in high school.
Yeah.
Which events did you start? Did you start with 100, 200 long jump, or were you running other events, or how did it work?
So I was always in a relay, always. So it was always the sprints, the 1 and the 2 for sure. And I saw people long jumping. I was like, ooh, I want to play in the sand. So I'll just try that, whatever. And I ended up liking it. Um, but they did put me in the, 2x4 and then, or I don't even remember how to say it. Or yeah, it's the 4x1 and the 4x2. So it's just 4 people each running a 200 and then 4 people running a 100 for a relay. And then I used to do the sprint medley, which was certain people would do different distances. I don't remember exactly which because it's been a while. And then, oh my goodness, my high school coach made me run the 400. I was like, Coach, this isn't it. This is not what I did not like this.
Okay, you're making me transition into the heptathlete training though, because you started training able-bodied. I mean, you're running just with, you're the only person out there with a prosthetic leg, right? And so below the knee amputee. But now at the training center, you've decided, if my information is correct, that you want to train with, or that you're training with the heptathletes, right? So now heptathlon, if you're training with them, what does that mean? Because you've got the shot put, the javelin, you've got the 800, the 200, which you run, the 100-meter hurdles, the long jump, which you do, but then the high jump as well. So if you're training with them, what does that mean? Are you doing all of these events, or what are you doing? How does it work?
No, I am not a mini heptathlete, thank goodness. But because that's crazy. They have to be above average in everything. They have to be above average in 7 events. So that's just already crazy to me. But for training wise, my coach, he's really smart. So he'll separate it into days. So when I long jump, we also sprint. So they jump with me, and then we have a sprint workout afterwards because in the heptathlon, they do long jump, and then right after they long jump they have to run an 800, so they have to have their bodies prepared to go through jumps and then run. So he prepared me for the same thing, I guess, just giving me a little more endurance, making me stronger than my competitors. So I'm thankful for that, I guess. But these workouts are definitely killer. um, they're pretty hard. All our
What?
sprint
So
workouts.
are you running an 800 after you long jump then?
Oh no, oh my gosh.
No, no, no.
No, he could not make me do that, even if he tried. I would sit down, simply just no. But he will have us do really hard workouts. I do remember our ladder, which was, um, hopefully most of people know that one full lap is 400 meters. And so for our ladder, he would have us run a 500 and then get 2 minutes rest. And then you run a 300, get 2 minutes rest. You run a 200, get 2 minutes rest. And then you have 4 100s with 90 seconds. So that was like their workout. And I did that with them as far as conditioning goes. And so like that was crazy. But the fact that I could get through it and I could sort of keep up with them just like kind of encouraged me. And I was like, well, they're kicking my butt, but they're Olympians, so I don't care.
Well, it's a great situation to be in, because you always have to be pushing yourself further than you would on your own terms, right? Because there's always somebody in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I always have somebody to chase, and it's like, why work out with athletes who are like me when I can work out with athletes who are better than me?
What's their reaction, and is their reaction different than the reaction that you had from the people you competed against in high school when they saw you showing up with a prosthetic leg and, you know?
Their reaction was different. Once I walked into that training group, I got the same amount of respect as everybody else. In high school, it was a different story. We would show up and, everybody has to get set in their blocks and stuff. And I could just kind of see it in their faces. Back in high school, it was just kind of like, oh, good for her. She's trying, I guess, a lot of pity, a lot of doubt. And then, when I would beat them, it would turn into respect, from pity to respect. But the fact that I would have to change their minds was a little frustrating. But at the same time, I do understand it, but they did judge a book by its cover.
Is this part of what appeals to you with, is it Naruto?
Naruto?
Naruto. Okay, am I getting it wrong? I mean, I pronounced your name incorrectly. I'm getting, you can't wait to get out of this interview, really, is what it comes down to.
No, this is fun. Yeah, I think so. Also, like,
And explain what it is and kind of what the theme is too, just so we make that connection.
oh, okay. So like the protagonist, the main character is this little boy named Naruto, and um his parents are like ninjas of this village, which, it sounds crazy, but these ninjas have
It's Japanese anime, right?
huh?
It's Japanese anime.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And so these ninjas have like these different powers. Every village has their own name. And so he's from the Hidden Leaf village. And there was this giant nine-tailed fox that attacked their village. And his dad was the Hokage. And so the Hokage is like the president, kind of. And he runs the whole thing. And eventually him and his mom, like the Hokage, and the mom died. But before he died, he put the nine-tailed fox inside Naruto and gave him that power. And eventually, everybody in the village found out that he had this evil monster inside of him. Instead of the dad like killing it, he put it inside his son. And so everyone in the village shunned him, and he had to work so hard to be the greatest like ninja, the greatest shinobi. And then eventually he became the Hokage. Sorry for the spoilers, but I mean, this show's been out for quite a while. Anywho, he becomes the best. And like throughout the whole time, he's just like struggling so hard because he's an orphan and nobody likes him. They all look at him dirty. They just don't want to associate with him. The other kids don't play with him. So he's different, but he works so hard. And then in the end, he gets the reward of having the respect of everybody in the village.
And is that, have you gone through that same kind of process? Do you relate on a personal level or?
A little bit. I mean, I think it's just a really cool show, and it does kind of keep your hopes up a little bit. And in a way, yeah, because I had to gain the respect of those athletes back in high school. And then like I had to work to get that respect. It wasn't just given to me, just like the other kids. When you see another kid and they look strong, they already have respect of everybody else in their heat or their group, but they looked at me and they're like, well, we'll beat her on to the next. Who else is next to me? So I kind of do relate to him in that way, where I had to work really hard to gain respect, and I did not like pity, and I still don't, but
And then when you beat them, was it the instant respect, or were there people who were just embarrassed, or how did it work after you beat people?
It was kind of cool, but it just depended on the person as well. People are different, and some people are a little more, worried to get beat by a disabled kid. But I did gain the respect of a lot of them. But in the long jump, actually, I gained the respect of all these girls in my long jump. And I do remember this day that my mom was there to watch me at this high school meet, and this girl's dad was there as well. And at that time, I won the whole meet for the long jump. And this girl came in second, and her dad was next to my mom, and he's complaining, I cannot believe they let this girl jump off her prosthetic. That's cheating. Oh my gosh. And like, he didn't know that my mom was my mom, like she didn't know I was her kid. And so she was like, actually, that's my kid. Sorry. A disabled kid beat yours. So, don't be salty about it. Obviously, my mom is really nice and she didn't say it like that, but that's the gist of it.
But I mean, that's also been the thought, right? Because the prosthetic leg, there are people who think that effectively what you're doing is you're jumping off of a spring or something, that it's giving you, that it's like a pogo stick kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that the case or not?
Mm, in a way, yes. But at the same time, if you sit here and think about, okay, for my 100-meter time, like, for example, Shakari, I don't know if you watched her race for the trials. She killed that. She ran like 1080 something, right? And that's not even the world record for the women.
Right.
I run a 1286. That's almost 3 seconds slower. So I just like, if you look at it in terms of like just the times, there's no way it's an advantage. Now, jumping is a whole different situation, because Marcus Rem jumps further than the able-bodied athletes. He's a jumper who has the same amputation as me, and he's from Germany, I believe. He just really knows how to use that blade for sure.
Wow. That is interesting. So it's kind of, so after your mother told you that you were her daughter, what was the response from the guy, or did he have any response or just kind of walk away?
He just kind of like turned really red, and you could tell he was embarrassed from like his ignorance. So then he just kind of left.
Now, how has your progression worked? Because you started running on a bet,
Yeah.
and I mean, had no desire. I mean, obviously, you had run before because you played all of these other sports. You just hadn't necessarily run in the specific direction of being a track athlete. But how did your progression work, and how is it working now that you're working with some of the best coaches out there?
Yeah, I'm grateful for my coach, Chris Mack. He's the best coach out there. Nobody can convince me otherwise, because he is the main reason that I have improved so much. It's crazy how much I've improved, I've got drug tested multiple times, and I can tell you guys, I am clean. It is Coach Mack's coaching is what it is.
How much have you improved? Like, can you give us some examples on how you've improved?
I mean, heck, in high school, I probably ran the 200 in like 35 seconds, and then I just PR'd and ran a 27:10. So,
So 8 seconds, or more than 8 seconds?
yeah.
Wow, that is a lot. That is a lot. And is it similar in the 100 and similar in the long jump?
Yeah, my 100 used to be like 14, 15 seconds. And then my long jump, if I jumped 14 feet, I thought that was great, which is a little like funny to look back at that now, and I'm just almost jumping 19 feet, which is, crazy.
Wow, which is adding a third of your distance effectively. I mean, pretty close.
Yeah.
So, which is huge. And in how long a period of time has that taken?
I didn't start working with Coach Mack for a little bit. So it was kind of a weird transition. After I graduated high school, I moved straight to the training center, and I worked with Joaquin Cruz,
Mhm.
but his training just was not working out for me. And, different coaches, different athletes, you have to find a coach that you mesh with and the coaching style that you like. And we just did not match. And so I did not see much improvement. So I left him to go to Coach Mack. I worked with Cruz from the time that I was in Peru to Dubai. So maybe like 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
In Peru, I did not long jump at all. So I was strictly working with Cruz. Then I had maybe like 1 month or 2 months to work on my long jump with Coach Mack. It was not a lot of time at all. And I saw the biggest improvement in my long jump rather than my sprints. So I made the decision to switch. And then because of the pandemic, I was at home for like 5 months. So really, I didn't really start working with Coach Mac full time until like last year.
And so from Peru to Dubai, that's from junior nationals to regular world championships, right? Or junior worlds.
No, I haven't been to a juniors. I only went to one. It was my first and last juniors, and then I progressed to working with the adults.
Oh, so it's Parapan
Yeah,
to world championship, right?
my bad.
No, that's perfect. Good. So what are you working on now? I mean, obviously you've progressed so much, and is it accurate to say that you bring a bit of attitude to your racing?
I guess I don't want to show up and be really cocky, but I will show up and be extremely confident in my abilities and in my coach.
Well, I mean, by attitude, I mean, I think it's like you bring some fight to it. I mean, you look like you are.
Yeah, I want to win that. Like I'm not there just to participate in and come in third. No, thank you. I want to win that. I want to prove to everybody that I'm gonna win and that I want to be the best. And I want everyone in my group to give 110%. I don't want to beat anybody when they're giving 90%. They better be giving their best because I'll be giving mine. And I want to beat them at their best, not when they're feeling okay. Because then I can say, I beat everyone at their best.
Right. And so that's what I was referring to as the attitude of like,
Yeah.
I'm here to win. I'm here to go absolutely as hard as I possibly can, and you better too.
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
Where
I
did you get that from? I mean, is that something you've always had?
Yeah, I think so. I think I really learned that from my dad. My dad is very competitive, and so he raised us to be very competitive. And you know, he would always be like, "Yeah, you never want your competition. You don't want to wish for them to do poorly, because then that just shows that you're afraid of them. Be strong. Wish for them to do great. I want everyone in my competition to have the best race of their life, and I want to beat them."
Well, it looks like you're going in that direction. Is is there something that you're working on? Because I mean, it's like you're bringing you sound the foundation of who you are, right? Is something that's brought you to this point. What about taking that and continuing to shape that to make you faster? Because I mean, like sprinting and jumping are so scientific. What
Yeah.
are you seeing now?
I don't really think about the scientific part. If anything, I just kind of, I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna wing it. You know, Coach Mac will fix it. He'll tell me what to fix. He's super technical. So when I show up and I'm like, well, don't do these science terms, man. Tell me, dumb it down for me, coach. And he'll be like, okay, bring your knee up on this jump. And so I do. But he has helped me, and we're working on a lot of my technical running. So like my form, because it used to be atrocious. It was worse than it is now. So we're working on that, and like my attitude within that, I think has helped me, because if I didn't have this attitude, I could easily get frustrated and quit and just be like, well, I don't want to do this anymore. The workouts are too hard. These workouts are ridiculously hard. Let me tell you, if these Olympians are doing it and I'm doing it, that's what gives me so much confidence. So that I just watched my teammates kill it at the trials, and I killed it at the trials. So I'm like, there's a lot of things going right, and it's all due to my coach.
I'll do your well, not all do your coach because you're putting in the work as well. I mean, he's telling you what to do.
Yeah, I think it's a 50-50, I guess. But without him, I would be very lost, I think. He's amazing. He's my track dad.
Well, you approach it in this from this great sense of like it is a battle. It is a battle. I'm going to battle myself and battle my competitors, right? And but you look good doing it. Some of the people who are watching might have noticed your fingernails.
Yeah.
What so it's in some ways it seems like you're winning, you're willing to win ugly if that's what it takes, but you're also going to look good doing it.
Yep.
Is that a strategy? Is that accurate?
I mean, to me, If you look good, you feel good, you run good. And I mean, what keeps the camera on you more than looking pretty? And you just, I want my name to be known. Oh, that really pretty girl that just ran. Oh, look at her nails. Oh, look at her hair. Look at her eyeliner. And she just won. It's all like, you don't see a lot of athletes really doing stuff like that, at least not in para from what I've seen. So I was like, oh, I want to do that. Because I did see a lot of the athletes on the Olympic side do it. And I'm like, oh, if they can look pretty doing this stuff, I want to look pretty too. I don't want to look all busted.
Do you have any heroes or any mentors that you follow?
Um, I don't know. I had answered this question before with the another interviewer, and I'll answer it the same way. I said that not particularly, because I don't want to look up to somebody and either be disappointed or try to follow in anybody else's footsteps. I want to be the best that I can be. I don't want to be the next Flojo. I don't want to be the next April Holmes. April Holmes is great. I look up to them, but I don't want to be like them. I want to be the next big thing, and that's going to be myself. And I will do this like with my own path in my own way, and not really doing it the same way they did, or.
Do you borrow a little bit from them? I mean, it's always one of those things that I'd imagine same kind of thing with your teammates, right? Where you're training together and you see somebody who does something particularly well and go, I wonder if I can incorporate that into what I do, into who I am, to like take that piece and go, can I make it my own? Can I make it mine? Is that part of your approach as well? Like both in terms of the athlete side and in terms of the look side, or are you just on your own?
Um, Kinda. So Annie Kuntz is she won the entire Olympic trials for the heptathlon. And she's in my training group and she's great. And my coach had told me, he was like, look what Annie does before practice and after practice every day. She writes in a little notebook and she writes down what she did that day and her results from the practice and all of these things. And he was like, you need to start doing that. So I have incorporated that. Sometimes I stray away from it because I forget to write everything down in that little book, but I have started doing it and it does help because like tough practices, you sit there and you look through your book and it's just like, oh, it could be worse. I could be doing this workout, but you know what? I'm doing a different one. It's okay.
That's awesome. Uh, yeah. So you're definitely, you're working on your own. What about, like, I mean, this is taking a divergent path, right? So you left high school, you went to the training center.
Yeah.
It is now, I mean, it was supposed to be 2020. Now it's a year later. How do the Paralympics, how does the training center, how does that all fit with like your education? Are you thinking about going to college? Is that something that's even on the radar, or are you going to continue doing what you're doing as long as you can?
So the original plan when the games were supposed to be in 2020 was that I graduated in 2019. I would take that 1 year to prepare for these games and then afterwards go to school. But it did not happen that way, and it ended up being 2 years. But because I live at the Olympic Training Center, the um, the Chula Vista Elite Athlete Training Center, if you live there, um, DeVry University is offered to the athletes for free so that we can continue to get our education online. So I had been doing a few classes through there just so that I could get my general education done and then move on to whatever I want to do, which I do not know yet.
Interesting. Yeah. So a lot of other athletes are probably doing the same thing, right? Where DeVry is a sponsor of the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, and so your education is effectively free, which is not the case with most college education, right?
Yeah. Yeah, which is nice.
That is awesome. So how do you envision your career? What are the kind of steps? I mean, this is like you're at the very beginning. Are you envisioning a long career? Are you envisioning, this is my one games, or how is it going to go in your mind?
I want to be awesome. I want to go to so many games, as many as I can go to, until my body literally just tells me, Beatriz, what are you doing? You can't do this anymore. Like, we're too old to run. I will run until I am too old to run. And like until the newer, younger generation beats me, that's when I will leave. And I will leave gracefully and be like, all right, here's these new guys. But I also don't want to just be a summer Paralympian. I would like to do winter sport as well. I would like to go into snowboarding and do winter and summer sport and go to the Paralympics for both, because I think that would be super awesome. And not a ton of people can be like, oh, yeah, I'm not just a summer Paralympian. I'm a winter one too, you guys. Like, you want to see all these medals?
So that is the plan. That is good. Have you been to any snowboarding events? I'm sure you've seen some of them online or seen some of them on television.
I've seen them, but I haven't participated with adaptive like athletes within the Paralympics on the winter side. I did when I was little, just with my children's hospital group. There's a bunch of little kids doing that and just racing down the mountain on these little skis with our instructors. But that is going to be completely different than the actual Paralympic side.
Than the border cross or the bank slalom. And this progression would be really challenging, right? Because you get Tokyo, and then you have 6 months until Beijing.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's not a lot of women in the US who are my classification and who compete in snowboarding. So that already kind of gives me a little bit to just go off of and just be like, oh, all right, I might as well just join. There's not a lot of people doing this anyways. But I do understand that they are elite athletes. So this may not be easy for me. But I also want to give myself a little bit of the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, you're pretty athletic. Why don't we just try this?
And you live in Colorado.
I do.
So
Yeah.
that part's relatively easy. Obviously, you're training at the training center down in Chula Vista, which is almost as close to Mexico as you can really get. So that's the skiing. There's not a lot of skiing there necessarily, or snowboarding. But wow, what do you sort of see as the next step? I mean, would you leave the training center, go back to Colorado, and try to figure out how to get going on the snowboarding side?
Possibly. I think the best thing that I would have to do is try to get an apartment near Copper Mountain or Winter Park, which will be expensive. So we'll see how I do that. But that would probably be the main goal, to try to get an apartment there and just get an instructor and train and see if I can make it. And if not, well, I had fun snowboarding. But at the same time, it's like you can't take away the fact that I went to Tokyo. So I won't be disappointed if I don't make the Beijing team.
So what are you looking for in Tokyo? I mean, in the introduction, you are basically ranked third right now in the world, right? In all of your events, but you're continuing to progress. So what are the expectations? What are the hopes? How are you approaching Tokyo? Because you have 2 months now, effectively, right?
Yeah. My coach and I will probably be working pretty hard this first month, and then the next month we'll have to change it so then I'm not too tired going into the games and my body doesn't, want to exercise anymore. But the at the end of the day, the goal is to medal. I don't want to just be there. Being a Paralympian is not good enough for me. I want to medal, and I want to be on that podium, and I want to hear that national anthem play.
Which means you want to be on the top step of the podium.
That's the goal. We'll see how it goes.
Awesome. Well, and so it's a little bit of a bummer too, isn't it? Like it's your first games, but yet as a result of COVID, your family can't come and watch you compete, right? You'll effectively be there on your own. Are you trying to approach it in any way that you can share that experience with your friends and family who don't get the opportunity to travel with you?
I think so because they won't be able to be there. I was actually telling my mom this the other day that I want to buy like a little camera recorder and just like document my entire trip. And then when I come back, it's almost like a little movie for them to see like everything I saw, what I ate, what I've been through, like what the rooms look like, everything. Because nobody's really gonna know except for me.
Right, exactly. And that sometimes is the challenge, because it's also it's kind of a funny thing too, isn't it? In that, what happens, is there a transformation when you put on that red, white, and blue uniform, right? And it says USA across the front of it. What is that transformation for you, and how does it affect sort of how you look at the other people, look at your friends and family, and what you've done?
It just like makes me really proud of myself, and I know that they're all proud of me, and it's just really cool to even be able to get the opportunity to wear that uniform. Not everybody gets to wear the uniform. Not everyone gets to get the official gear, the any of that stuff. So I even remember the first time I made my junior team that we got all that stuff, and I was so excited to open up this big USA luggage bag, and it comes to the uniform. You try it on immediately, and tears almost come to your eyes that first time putting it on because you're just so proud. No way am I representing the United States on such a large platform, and everybody watches me, and it's just like, wow, that's the USA. That's wow, you know.
What did your parents think? Like, I mean, for me, it's kind of funny because I asked my parents, I mean, well after the fact, right? Did you guys think that I would ski again? I had a skiing accident. I was paralyzed as a result of a skiing accident. And they said, no, no, we didn't think you'd ski again. But yet it goes from not thinking that I'd ski again to suddenly going and representing my country.
Yeah.
And, you start running on a bet. What was that look? What did your parents think when this gigantic bag arrived, when their daughter was going out to represent the country?
I think they were really proud of me. I mean, they did take a ton of pictures. They called my grandparents, they called everybody, posted on Facebook, posted on Instagram. They're just extremely proud. My brothers were proud too. And it was kind of cool going to school because people at school would be like, "Oh, that's so dope. Like, no way, you get to wear that." And I was in a newspaper article at the school, and so they'd come and interview me. And so like people kind of knew what was going on, and it was really cool to just be like, "Yeah, I'm on the US team, you guys."
Did you wear this stuff to school? Did you wear your USA kit?
No, I didn't really want to look like a asshole, but I like would would just kind of wear maybe like a workout top, but no way would I bring my backpack, my official USA backpack and official USA warm-ups. I did not. I was a little, I was like, to a certain extent, it's cool to show that I made the team, but I also do not want to show off and look really mean.
Right. And you can kind of just subtly, it's like, well, this is my workout top or whatever. And it just I happen to like it and it works out well for me, but
Yeah, and
not showing up in the full parade uniform.
yeah. And they have like similar tops too that like you can always buy too.
Wow. Okay. So now what is what are the biggest challenges that you feel like you have between now, and obviously you're going really well. You've jumped well, you've run well. What are the challenges that you have, and how much can you address in the next 2 months? How do you approach that mentally?
I think mentally, I just need to stay in a good place. If I was to go back and be like, oh, what are they running? Looking at what my competitors are running, that would be bad. But I have made this change, and I plan on sticking to it throughout the rest of my career to hopefully stay in this great mental space where I'm at of I'm the main character of my movie. Who cares who else is running in this race next to me? I don't care what they run. I don't care what they look like. I don't care what their name is. Beatriz Hatz is running this race, and what is Beatriz Hatz gonna run? And I don't care, like, I don't want to know what anybody else has ran, because why compare myself to them when, to me, track is a selfish sport. So to me, I'm the most important one on that track because I want to do well. Obviously, I'm not wishing for my competitors to do poorly. Like I said before, I want them to run their best, but I want my best to be better than theirs.
Do you look at your life as a movie, as you are the main character in your movie? Is that just track, or is that life in general?
I like to think about it in life in general because you got to give yourself that importance and you got to tell yourself, hey, I'm worth this. And, like, I'm important and I need to like stay in a good mental space and I need to achieve my goals. And, no dream is too big for me because I want to do that. You don't set limits on yourself and you don't put yourself down, then it makes training a lot easier and it makes looking at those goals like a lot more achievable.
What are you looking forward to in Tokyo?
In general, I'm looking forward to the entire experience itself because this will be my first games. So I don't really know what to expect, but I do know that I want a medal and I want to hold those flowers and I want to wave hi to my mom on the TV and make my parents and my coach proud.
What about any of the other stuff? Will you have any time to do other things while you're there?
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of downtime, I'm assuming, because they do have a training camp that's gonna go there before the games start, just so that we could get acclimated to the weather. I'm not quite sure when that is or how that all is gonna happen, but I'm assuming we will have a lot of downtime. But unfortunately, we won't be able to go sightseeing because, COVID, and Japan really hasn't been handing their vaccines as quickly as the US did and other places have. So they kind of didn't really want us there. There was a point where they were almost going to cancel the games and stuff because of COVID. So they're just being really extra cautious and like nobody's going to go out and do anything really. But there's probably going to be a lot of downtime, I assume.
So you'll be in the village. I mean, basically it's like village, track, village is kind of, but you'll also be there with all the other athletes too.
Yeah, from what I understood, but also I'm not quite sure if we're allowed to interact with the other teams. I'm assuming not.
It is a weird time. It is a weird time because I mean, I would imagine the vast majority of athletes on the US team have been vaccinated.
Yeah.
But then the rest of the world, its vaccinations have been far more difficult in the rest of the world than they
Yeah.
have been here.
Yeah.
What when you finish, I mean, if you can project, I mean, you're 20 years old now, right? And you're going to run until you're too old to run. And but when you get to that end, could you project yourself there? What would you want to see if you're looking back on your career?
Looking back, I want to be able to just be like, wow, I had all these little girls look up to me, and I just showed all these kids that they could do anything and everything that they can imagine. And I want to let kids know that, like, just because you got a disability or you look different or certain things are hard doesn't mean that you can't do it or that you shouldn't try it. And so at the end of my career, I want to make an impact on just not just disabled athletes, but the entire world. I want to make an impact on everybody to change their view on how they see disabled people. And I want them to see us as not disabled, but differently abled, and for us to be held to the same standard as other people and respected the same way. I want that initial, like, immediate respect. I don't want to have to you know, obviously you do need to earn respect, because we are needing to be respectful towards others, but to just read a book by its cover, I don't agree with that at all. And I just want, at the end of my career, I want to know, wow, I made an impact and I've done all these things, not just in track, but I have shown all these people that we can do whatever we put our minds to, and that whatever we think we can do, just do it.
Is that a message that you bring with yourself to the starting line? That you think my performance is about making that impact? Is that what you bring to the starting line?
Yeah, I do think so, because I do have a lot of younger cousins. I'm Hispanic, so our family's super tight, and I've got a lot of young cousins, and a lot of them are girls, and they like all these girly things, and they're being told that sports are for boys and blah blah blah. And no, they're not. I'll show you. I'll show you guys that you can look pretty, but you can do sports and you can dominate in your sport and you could do amazing things just because you're a girl.
Well, I mean, because you embody that, right? I mean, you run tough. I mean, you look tough. Like you're like, nobody's going to knock me over. Like, this is what I'm. But you also look pretty in doing it, and it's great to be able to round that picture out, right? How did the mentoring part, did it come from working with your, kind of come from your cousins, from interacting with your cousins? But then there are a lot of other kids out there. How did you become a mentor? How does somebody become a mentor?
Well, I think it's all in your mindset and who you are around and how you impact them. So, like, I think I personally have impacted my cousins. I'm the oldest one out of all the cousins for my mom's side of the family. So, they already look up to me because I'm the oldest and I'm doing all these big kid things. But, what are these big kid things about? Are these things important or not? And then just, I have met a few kids with the same disability, and it's always awesome to see them running around and just wearing shorts and having so much confidence and showing off their leg. I mean, when I was little, my first time wearing shorts in public wasn't until I was 17, because I was, very afraid to show my prosthetic and that people would judge me. And then eventually I stopped caring what people thought. And I think that's what helped me grow as a person, is just saying, hey, who cares? You are you. Do what you're going to do and be proud of who you are.
And be strong doing it. Now, with your blade, you actually have people sign your blade though, too. Do you continue to do this now?
I used to, and then I had to get a new socket. So I want to redo it and have my cousins and my friends and family sign it, so that when I do show up to the games, it's like, yeah, everybody that I love already wrote me a message, and I carry it with me while I'm running.
Was it a conscious thought when you started doing that, when you started getting people to sign your socket, that that's what you were thinking?
Yeah, that was the only reason I had them sign it, was because I was like, well, when I get there, every time I put it on, I want to know, like, all these people love me and they support me and they want me to do my best and give it my all every time.
It's interesting because it's also, in some ways, you were talking about you didn't wear shorts until you were 17 years old, right? I mean, this idea of hiding, and I mean, we all do it, right? And some of it progresses well beyond 17 years old, and it might not be quite as visible as missing a limb or something like that. But at the same time, it's like in some ways it's pretty intimate, right? I mean, to have somebody come and sign your prosthetic, it's like, come and see me for who I am. Was
Yeah.
was that part of the thought process too? Because it seems really powerful.
Yeah, kind of. It was to show, like, if you don't agree with how I look and you don't like it, all of these people do. All of these people care about me and all of these people love me and support me and they think I'm great. So it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, as long as I see this right here. Look at this socket. You see all of these names? Their opinions matter to me more.
That is absolutely spectacular. Have you have you always been this strong? I mean, you were remarkably strong. Have
Thank
you always been this strong?
you. Yes and no. Growing up, I was very hard-headed, and I still am. I'm very stubborn, but um, I do remember like I would get in trouble a lot at school for defending myself about my prosthetic. I would get bullied, but then definitely not handle it the right way. You know, I had kids be like, oh, well, at least I don't have a fake leg. And I'd be like, oh, well, at least I'm not on the ground. And they'd be like, what? And I just push them over. Be like, you're on the ground and I'm not. I mean, sucks for you. So like I didn't really handle it correctly, but I did end up sticking up for myself. So I was very strong. But I also could have gone about it differently. But then again, I was a child, and so it's just kids do what they think they should do.
Right. And you're doing this in a very different way now. I mean, not necessarily that you're getting bullied, but in some ways it's like being a Paralympian, being somebody with a disability, you're on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And a lot of it sounds like what you're doing is to say, hey, look at me, look at yourself, like we're all human beings. This is where we're going, and don't get caught up in the optics of what you think
Hmm.
is. And how do you think you're going to continue to do that and continue to possibly refine your message, or maybe you don't have to refine your message as you move forward?
I actually have been doing some modeling. So I think in that way, I'm able to show people, hey, you can be strong, but you can also look beautiful and you can do everything. And so with my modeling, I feel really powerful in my pictures because they do show my leg. That's the majority of the reason why they want me there. They want me to show off my leg. And that's like so cool because I spent 17 years of my life, I wasted them by putting on pants every day when I could have been out there wearing a dress, looking great and showing off and being like, yeah, I'm comfortable in my body. I'm comfortable in who I am and I look great. And so I think my modeling, like, although I don't get interviewed for my modeling and I don't have a book or anything like that, the picture itself speaks 1,000 words.
Yeah, it does. And it makes people think, right? I mean, I actually had done some similar stuff, had done some modeling at one point, and it was sort of changing the prototype of what's beautiful.
Yeah, you're changing the beauty norms. And you're just showing that everybody's beautiful and what's more important is what's on the inside.
Yeah, exactly. And is there any discomfort in putting yourself out there in that way? Is it
uh,
easier to be an athlete than it is to be a model, or is it easier to be a model than it is an athlete?
I feel like I'm pretty comfortable in front of the camera. The only time though is when they ask me to take off my shoes and I have that track tan line and I'm like, oh no, you guys can't see my foot. It's real pale. So that's the only time when I really get uncomfortable.
And this is not your prosthetic foot that you're talking about. This is your regular foot.
Yeah, my regular foot. My prosthetic foot is more tan than my other one, which is really funny.
So that is absolutely hysterical, because you were so strong, you're so vibrant, and you're like, don't look at my tan lines.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, I look good. Don't look at my foot. Don't look at my foot. Don't look over here. Look at my face. Like,
Pay no attention to my tan lines.
yeah.
That is so funny. Well, we're getting close to the end here. Thank you, B, for joining us. We wish you the best of luck. People will be able to watch you. It'll be on NBC. It'll be on Peacock. It'll be 1,200 plus hours of coverage. We'll be able to get everything. Is there anything that people should look for, people who've been able to watch you here? Is there anything that they should look for when they watch you? I mean, they might be able to see the signatures on your prosthetic leg. But is there anything that is there any message that you send that people go, okay, I want to make sure I notice that? Like any nail polish thing that you're going to do, like for particular races? I don't have any nail polish on, I'm sorry.
For them just to know that if I've got my nails done, my lashes on, my eyeliner done, and my hair done, I'm ready to run fast and ready to run well.
That is it. You are going to look great. You're going to run fast, and you're going to make yourself proud. I mean, if we've taken anything from this, it's about performing in a way that you can be proud of what you've done.
Yes.
And I don't doubt that you'll do that. So I look forward to watching you. I look forward to being able to talk about it. Thank you so much, Bea, for joining us. Thank you for what you do for yourself, for so many other people, and for changing what people think is beautiful. So
thank you for having me and letting me spread my message. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I look forward to talking again. Thank you all for joining us. It's been a pleasure. If you didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing, it will be archived on the One Revolution page on Facebook. We will also edit this slightly, and it will be a podcast. It'll be on YouTube, so you can get to watch it. It'll be on Spotify. It'll be on Apple. It'll be on all the usual suspects. As I always say, though, the greatest gift that you can give us is telling your friends about what we're doing, is liking us, is following us. So thank you all for joining us. Bea, thanks again, and run fast. Look forward to it, and jump far.
I will.
All right. Thanks.